Hello.
Hello. Oh, Melissa's in one of my favorite cities, virtually anyway.
Not quite yet. I'll be there on Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, lovely. Well,
So
Melissa and
I'm
I have our
Melissa,
tea.
and this is my great friend Leela. We have gathered today to talk about maybe some best practices and things along those natures. Um, so BBB, Leela, what does that stand for?
So for this segment, we are calling it Banks and Bennies Behaving Badly, or Bennies and Banks Behaving Badly, whichever order you would like to put them in. If you were with us at the last virtual workshop, we just covered Benny's behaving badly, and we got a lot of feedback, and we were reminded ourselves that it's not just the Benny, that the banks can also sometimes not be on their best behavior. And so we thank you for having us back for this segment again. I think it's one of those things that happens at in-person conferences in between sessions or over tea or cocktails later in between sessions. And so Melissa and I just wanted to to talk you through kind of an update of what things that we think are kind of the themes about Bennies and banks behaving badly.
So without further ado, let us begin. Okay, so we all know that banks provide financial assurance to beneficiaries, right? And what else do we know, Leela?
So we know that less is more when it comes to the letter of credit, right? Just be clear and keep it simple. So a successful transaction has clear sales terms or clear terms for drawing. It does not have overly complicated letter of credit requirements. And it needs to be something that everybody agrees on and that everybody can do.
Exactly. It's all about collaboration and communication and making sure that all parties are good with the terminology being issued. Let's continue.
Yes. So that said, obviously that does not always happen. So I think that we started with the banks since the bennies were were the focus last time. We started with the banks. So, and I'm pretty sure that most of us will agree that the very first item we have here, calling discrepancies that are not valid. So I'm just going to go first. The worst discrepancy that I've ever seen called, I'm going to have to use air quotes, light copies. Can anyone tell me what article that is? I would love to know.
Hold on, I'm flipping through my UCP right now. Oh wait, or was that
There's
to
not an
ISP?
article about the quality of the photocopies.
Right.
How about you, Melissa? What's the worst one you've ever seen called?
Okay, so mine is gonna be torn BL. I'm sorry. What? Also, I scoured through my UCP, my ISBP, old ISBP, new ISBP, and darned if I didn't find a single thing in there. So what's going on with that, Leela? Why would banks do something so crazy like that?
Okay, now, so let's just clarify. Was it like completely ripped in half?
Okay, may I please provide exhibit A for this? We're
Please.
talking like this big, torn BL. Can you believe that nonsense?
Wait, so the
It's not,
corner was totally missing?
um, that's what they
I don't
said,
know.
but
Maybe the
no
document could be
signature
missing.
lines were affected. We still saw that the signature was, name and the name of the shipper and the carrier and the agent. Everybody was clearly defined. All the players were there.
Yeah. Gracious goodness. Well, I did see now we have an article quoted in the chat. It's Article 40. So everybody go check your UCP really quick.
Yes.
Yeah. And so, I think this fits in. We had a great session earlier with Jerry and John about, is it a discrepancy? And I think a lot of us are seeing banks calling discrepancies, and the questions are, are they not trained? Are they just trying to find something to delay? What's going on here?
What's the
And
motivation? And
yeah,
definitely we have some opportunity for improvement there, which is
yeah,
really the general message that we're trying to, come across with this. So yeah,
yeah,
discrepancies always,
yeah.
nobody wants to hash that out via Swift or other lines of communication. So it's always great to quote what article you are refusing the documents to, maybe as a best practice. So that way I wouldn't have to scour my UCP to find where that torn bill of lading is in my UCP.
Yeah. Or as we're training new folks, right? Even if it's not going in the discrepancy notice, you know, it, when you're double checking them, say, hey, what article is that? And see if they can
Right,
tell you. You
right.
well,
And
we could spend our entire coffee talk on bad discrepancies, but we won't steal Jerry and John's thunder. What are some other ways banks can behave badly? Oh, I love your cup.
oh, thank you. Well, sometimes the bank decides to route it through their own preferred correspondent rather than the direction of the customer. I get it, Leela. I know that RMAs are getting, taken away left and right. But come on, if you have RMA and you've been instructed to send it through certain banking channels, just give that poor Benny a break and send it the way that they ask, perhaps. Thoughts on that? What are you thinking?
So I'm not going to go there on the RMA topic because I think that many of you have heard me on my soapbox repeatedly about the loss of RMA. And both Melissa and I have been with regional banks for a very long time. And there's workarounds, right? While you can send it to your one remaining bank in that country, you can at least name the beneficiary's bank as the advised through. I mean, that's just the least you can do. And it helps your customer, it helps all the parties, because sometimes the bank that you route it through is not able to help the beneficiary. I mean, not all beneficiaries are huge corporations. As I have said many times, sometimes the person preparing the letter of credit documents also runs HR and accounts receivable and payable. So that doesn't
Many
make them a letter
hats.
credit specialist, right? And
That's right.
so, they're going to need some hand holding. There's a reason they asked for their bank to be used.
Awesome.
Stop my
Okay.
soapbox.
What else have we seen banks do? Oh, no, nobody takes more than 5 banking days, do they? I can't believe that.
Hmm.
Sometimes it happens though, right?
Let's just say I've seen someone being on day 73 with no response.
What's going on with that? Why would a bank issue a letter of credit and then not follow the rules? Could we see another training challenge here? Another opportunity?
No, I don't think this is a training issue. I don't know what this is, but I will say there are many avenues to attack this. And one of my favorites is finding people on LinkedIn who work at that bank and bugging them. So just my 2 cents.
It's a very resourceful tool. That
Is
is true. Okay, what else do we have on our list? No. What happened? Somebody thought you were going to remit the payment, and then you thought that somebody else was going to remit the payment. Is that what we can
Is this a
assume is
point of
going on?
confusion? How is, yes, now, I mean, I have seen this happen. I've spent a lot of time looking at international holiday calendars to try to figure out, did I get it wrong? You know, why am I not getting the money?
And what happens? You don't ever have your beneficiary like calling you night and day looking for status updates, right?
Oh, we do. And thanks to COVID, they all have my cell phone now.
Right. It is definitely a great way to get to know your customer more than you ever wanted to know them.
All right. We kind of already touched on this one, not responding to the Swift messages. Is you only check them once a week? I don't know. I don't get it.
Exactly. Well, and then there's the whole factor of if it's a freely negotiable letter of credit and you get bank documents presented by another bank that maybe you don't have RMA with, do you just ignore said Swift messages because you can't respond?
Yeah. Now, I do know that sometimes if there's not an RMA, then obviously, the method that the bank uses is 999. And I know more than I ever wanted to know about technology setup, and 999s don't automatically route to the letter of credit department. However, they need to be aware that they're going to get them, especially if they aren't authenticated with the beneficiary's bank. One of those things.
Okay. Our last little
more.
note that we saw, or our last little touch point was inherent discrepancies outside the scope of the LC. We can do better and we'll work on that. So shall we move on?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. We had one more.
Those are related, right? And it goes back to, everybody needs to understand what needs to be in the letter of credit and keep it simple. Make it workable. Workability is a huge issue. And so we've all got to work together.
And make it easy on yourself, because you're going to probably be receiving documents at one time or another that you're going to have to examine against the letter of credit that you issued. So
yeah.
Clear points, easy document requirements.
Yeah.
Okay.
Our last one. Yeah, our last one we didn't really talk about, and we won't call out any banks in particular, but refusing to authenticate your own customers' signatures. Okay, it's a standard that you require.
That makes my hands tremble a little bit.
I know. It's a requirement for there to be a signature authentication on a transfer request form, but nobody can get their signature authenticated. So banks are having to get, we're having to work outside the box, right? But it's just really frustrating. And so that's something that Melissa and I have talked about, and I think it's come up several times on the Southeast Committee. And so I'm hoping we'll see something new along those lines as far as best practices or suggested practices for us, because that's
absolutely.
Yes. I think we are being asked to move to Bene's. Should we move to Bene's?
Let's do it. Go ahead and give us a couple here. We can hit a few. There we go. All right. So
it's a similar theme.
Exactly. Once again, there's the overcomplicated requirements, Incoterms. We love the Incoterms until we don't or accidentally select the wrong one or something. All good things that are useful tools. However, if used inappropriately, can really cause a train wreck out of your transaction. So, Leila, what are your thoughts on some of this?
Well, so, with bennies, I think we see the most behavior problems on standbys. You know, weird auto extend clauses, requirements for amendments to extend on a letter of credit that was auto extend at the beneficiary's request. A lot of beneficiaries either don't know that BAFT exists or don't know that there is a best practice paper for automatically extending letters of credit. And that it doesn't just protect the banks, right? I mean, the beneficiary needs to understand what they've required. And so the working paper was a great tool, and BAFT made it available for free. So I have been known to send it to beneficiaries and their attorneys. um, so, I mean, and those of us on the line who are banks, we've seen all of these, right? We've seen local presentation requirements. Well,
That's got
um,
to be like the worst offender, just from a personal. Where how many times have I explained you don't want to have to present your letter of credit there because the person you're going to hand it to isn't going to be trained and isn't going to really know what to do with your letter of credit. So it just opens up the beneficiary to a risk that is really unnecessary. So
yeah.
stick to presenting where you know your letter of credit will be handled in the right manner by people who are trained.
Yeah, I think our tellers in Lebanon, Tennessee would really rather not see your draw.
Right. Ditto for Arkansas.
They might
So
panic,
yeah,
not as much as over a foreign check, but still. Um, and I think one of the themes that I think we're seeing here, and it goes even into this last one about requiring a bank seal, the corporate secretary or the cashier. I don't know if any of you know who the cashier at your bank is, but we don't have one. Requiring use of their form, like all these special things. Why? But I think the theme here is that beneficiaries of standbys, it's not the main thing they do. And a lot of times they're doing it kind of just as a courtesy to the people who need to produce some sort of collateral to them. And so there really needs to be maybe a simpler way. I was very optimistic when the formats based on ISP 98 came out, but there maybe wasn't, you know, maybe we didn't get to the right population of beneficiaries. And so, I would love to see software companies offer something, for, something simple for a beneficiary to keep track of who issued what, when does it expire, does it auto extend, you know, because when it's some poor person at the town hall who maybe works 10 hours a week, it's really hard for them to keep up with it. And so they're going to be sticklers. They're going to be what I think we sometimes refer to as comma counters, right? They're not going to vary because they don't know what it is the variation does. Um, and, what I have found is a lot of times you just have to pick up the telephone and talk to the county attorney and help them understand letters of credit, and help them understand that it's in their best interest to follow best practices from the banks. That the banks we're not trying to fleece them. We're trying to do it so that it's clean for everybody. I'm sorry.
Excellent point to end on, Leela. Thank you so very, very much. We hope that you all have enjoyed a little coffee talk with Leela and Melissa, and we look forward to seeing everybody at Birds in the Feather so we can continue on.
Okay.
Well,
Thank you.
Thank you both, Melissa and Leela.